Welcome back to another episode. In this episode we're going to look at dealing damage to the player, killing the player and respawning the player. So without further ado, let's get into coding. So the first thing we want to do is go to our level control folder and create a new script called health UI. And go into our items folder and create a new script called damage player. Okay. Once you've created those two scripts, pause the video, go to the description in the link below. You'll find a package file that we need to import. So if I go to import custom package, I want this YouTube 2D extras Unity package. I'm going to select all and click import. And that's going to import this Cedarwood software folder. In it, we've got an audio manager, data manager, level transition, so we've got a scene loader, and we've got some prefabs. We've got health and death particle. We've got a health bar canvas, which we're going to need. And we've also got some sprites, which is 3 sprites we're going to use to damage the player. Okay, so with the package file imported, go to the data manager, go to the prefabs folder and drag the data manager prefab out into your main scene. You should hopefully see this. Now this is all set up to work perfectly fine with my data manager from my Data Manager 101 series. I would highly recommend you use that over this, but this is more than adequate for what we want to use it for. Hopefully, if you go into your managers, click on level manager, you'll get this option to delete your level data. If not, you'll need to go into this editor folder and edit the namespace in this level management EX script, but that's a different lesson entirely, custom editors. Okay, so with our data manager installed, we can now open up our health UI script. And we can start with our variables that we're going to need for this. Okay, and that is simply a serialized field. We want a slider, so we want using Unity Engine UI, and we call it health bar. And then in our Unity methods, we just need update method. And in the update method, we want, you'll notice we've got an error. So we would just clear that by using the Cedarwood software data namespace. Okay, we've got an if statement. We're just going to check if the player health is greater than the player data max health. Then we're going to set the player's health to the max health. That'll always keep the health value never going above maximum health. And then we're going to get our slider health bar and we're going to set the max value to max health and health bar value to the data manager player data health value. Okay, and that's all we need to do in that script. Then if we open up our damage player script, we need some variables for this. Okay, we need a serialized field, float, and will be the damage amount that we want to inflict. And let's say 30. Okay, and our Unity methods. We just want to on trigger 2D collision 2D.collision. Then we're going to check if it's a player tag. Game controller, that should let me use its namespace. What is its namespace? Ah, it's because I haven't made it static yet, that's why. Okay. So we're just going to check the tag for the player tag, and we're going to instantiate the death particle, and we're going to use a take damage method that we need to put in the game controller next. So that's all we need for the damage player. So you can save that. We now need to jump into our game controller. Go up to the variables up the top. And we need these new variables. I've obviously spelled game controller wrong here. So we've got public static game controller instance. We've got a respawn delay of 2 seconds. We've got a serialized field for our respawn particle. And we've got a public game object death particle. Okay, we can leave this player, controller, rigid body, etc. as is. And we can leave the start as is, but we need to put an awake method in here. Okay, so there's our awake method. Let me zoom in a little bit on that. We're just creating an instance and setting it to this if it's no instance. If it isn't this instance, we're going to destroy it, just how we have done before, creating a static instance of something. Okay, so now we just need to have a method for damaging the player. So let's grab that. Okay, cancel that, paste that in there. Okay, and this is going to be a public method, and it's going to take a float value damage, and it's going to update the data manager instance default data, player data health, and we're just going to remove the damage from the player data health. As you can see, this looks very much like a scriptable object. The only reason we're not using a scriptable object is the fact that you need to load the data and save the data back to a file in the first place. So we can use a data manager like a scriptable object anyway. So there's no need for the data we're storing to use a scriptable object. Okay, so we now just need this reset player coroutine. So if we make some room, I'll just grab that. Okay, let's zoom out one. Using system collections, get rid of the error. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to instantiate the death particle at the player's transform position and the player's transform rotation. We're going to reset the rigid body velocity to 0. We're going to disable the sprite renderer. We're going to disable the player movement. We're going to wait for the respawn delay. We're then going to set the player's position using the set player pos function that we've got already up here. Then we're going to re-enable the sprite renderer. We're going to flip the player towards facing right. We're going to re-enable the movement. We're going to set the health value back to the maximum health and then instantiate the respawn particle. Right, okay, so here's the first half. And here's the second half. Now, if we save that, go back, our errors are gone from here. We shouldn't have any errors when we try and jump back up into Unity in a minute. Okay, so that should be all we need. So if we now jump back into Unity, give everything time to compile, check the console for errors. We've got no errors. We've got our data manager. I need to rename my script game controller, not controller. Okay, then just check on the game controller. So now we've got this two little spots here for our particle effects. So if we go into Cedarwood software, prefabs, we've got our death particle and our respawn particle. Okay, we can go to sprites, open up the first frame, drag those in. We need to add a collider, so I'll add a polygon collider to it. Scripts, items, damage player, 30. Okay, so if we now go and grab these spikes and move them down here. Oh, I have it then. That'll do it. Now if we look at our data manager default data, player data, and look at this health value, if I've done everything correctly, which I probably haven't, I've probably forgotten a really vital step, click play. Now if we walk into this, it's not doing anything. Typical. It's because I haven't set it as a trigger. Okay, now let's try it. Now if we walk into it, it's instantiating the particle. If we look at our data manager, our health should be at 40, so we can run into it one more time. And there it is, it's killing us and respawning us. As you can see, it acts exactly like a scriptable object. Okay, but we've got no visual indication. So if we stop that, close this scene frame down, jump back into prefabs, then we've got a health bar canvas. We can grab hold of our health bar, and again we can just move that up there somewhere, scale it up a little bit. Okay, now if we go back into level control, drag our health bar UI canvas, click on that, and for the slider drag the health bar in. Click play now, and as you can see, our health bar is working as it should. The health bar doesn't know what the player's doing, it's grabbing it all from the data manager like a scriptable object would. So there you go, that's how to damage a player. In the next episode we'll look at how to heal the player. Hope you found this video useful. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.